Welcome to the Page by Page Book Club. I'm your host, Paige in Print, and I bring you weekly book club meetings wherever you get your podcasts. It's a Q&A episode, a quarterly little Q&A that I like to do. I ask you all on my Instagram story what questions you want me to answer on the podcast, and I am here, ready to answer. I'm so excited. Tons of really exciting questions. So thank you to everyone who submitted a question. I have so much fun with these episodes because I know for a fact I'm answering what you all want to hear about. So that makes me very excited. With that being said, I'm going to dive straight into the questions. There were enough where I don't want to waste any more time yapping and talking and taking up the airwaves. So I'm going to keep the questioners anonymous just in case they did not want to be called out on a podcast. But if the question was you, holler. Because if you do want the recognition, holler, let us know. But that's kind of that, a little housekeeping. Okay, without further ado, I'm just going to start from the very first question and work my way down. There were a few questions that kind of work together, so I'll try to couple those together if possible. But without further ado, our first question is, what is my favorite trope? So glad you asked. I have a few that I love. From the very beginning of my reading journey, I have always loved Marriage of Convenience. It is what intrigued me into reading in the first place. The first two books I read were King of Wrath by Anna Huang, Marriage of Convenience, and In a Jam by Kate Canterbury, also Marriage of Convenience. So both of those intrigued me from the very beginning, and I think just like that indicates to me in the fiber of my being, that's what interests me even when I wasn't a reader. So I do still really love Marriage of Convenience. I also really love Friends to Lovers. If you know me, you know. That's my go-to over Enemies to Lovers anytime. Heck, Best Friends to Lovers, I absolutely adore. I totally get the tension of Enemies to Lovers. I've discussed this on other episodes, but I feel like Enemies to Lovers in contemporary romance feels kind of silly. I also just have a hard time relating to it, which I'm no stranger to enjoying a book that I don't relate to. Like, that's not really that, but I just would never hate someone that much and then go from hating them to, like, being with them. Like, it just doesn't make sense for me as a person, and so I think that that's why I kind of have a hard time with Enemies to Lovers. I'm just a Friends to Lovers girl. I love it. I love to see it. There's nothing quite like it. So, if I had to pick like my overall favorite, it would be Friends to Lovers, but I also just can't deny a Marriage of Convenience moment either. So there's that. What my favorite trope is. I'm moving a little quickly, but alas, maybe I could give you some of my favorite Friends to Lovers trope books. Looking at my, what's it called? Bookshelf now and seeing if I can't find any Friends to Lovers. For the sake of example, One Chance by Lena Hendricks. Incredible. Whistleblower by Kay Cove. Workplace but kind of Friends to Lovers. Love it. Rewind It Back, Liz Tomforty. They were friends. They turned lovers. Then they broke up. Then they're lovers again. I mean, come on. Love to see it. Powerless Elsie Silver. Wyatt, Jessica Peterson. Reckless Roses and Vice and Violet, Sarah A. Bailey. Sable Peak, Devony Perry. Those are a few of my faves. Marriage of Convenience wise, Bourbon and Proof, Victoria Wilder. King of Wrath and In a Jam still stand the test of time for me. I really love, I just read one that I loved. Oh, duh. It was Secret Haven by Catherine Cowles. I'm going to have to talk about that on my wrap-up episode because I wept. I cried. You can find it on the internet. It is out there for you to see. And it was one of my top reads of the year. Just phenomenal. Other Marriage of Convenience I enjoyed. I'm looking at my shelves. Dang. I haven't seen very many Marriage of Convenience books as of late. Play Along, Liz Tomforty. That was kind of an accidental marriage turned into Marriage of Convenience, which we love to see. Yeah, that'll do it for Marriage of Convenience. Love those. Hopefully that gives you some recs and some of my faves. Someone asked, where did I get my gold letters on my bookshelves? So I know that this is an audio medium and that might be confusing. So to anyone who has not seen any of my videos before, I have these gold letters on my bookshelves and they look like balloons, but they're actually glass, but they look like those letter balloons that you would get for a birthday party or something. And they say Page in Print. I got them at Michael's. So Fun little lore story about these no one asked for, but alas, I'm sharing with you because it's my podcast, is I found these at the very, very end of the season, I guess, in 2024, because they are a spring and summer seasonal thing at Michael's, like the craft store. And they come in a ton of colors. I just got gold because I'm a gold girl. But I found a few like green ones, but couldn't get the full page in print or even in print, which is kind of what I wanted. So I literally desperately looked all over the internet if they sold these anywhere other than Michael's. I was looking for the supplier that supplies Michael's. Like, I was being a crazy person about these. And I was just like, okay, my time has passed. I'm not going to get them. And then I ended up actually getting marquee letters that spelled out in print that I put up behind me for the Page and Print Awards, if anyone was there. It was rare. You remember it all too well. I did an award show series at the end of last year, awarding all of my favorite books of the year. I could do that again if there's a market for it. It's a ton of work, but if y'all want to see that, I can do it again. Just let me know. Anyway, I got these marquee letters, and then at the beginning of spring, Michael's, the craft store, brought back these glass balloon letters, and I was so beyond excited. And I guess this is in, I don't know, February, March-ish, and they came back in stock, and then I actually hit 10,000 followers on TikTok. And as a celebration, my parents got them for me. My mom knew that I'd been looking high and low everywhere for them, and she got me these glass gold balloon letters that spell out Page and Print. They are currently on top of my shelves. I am actually in the middle of a makeover of my home library. If you've missed that, those episodes are up on both platforms, TikTok and Instagram. But I'm going to have floor to ceiling shelves, and I am going to keep the Page and Print letters. I've received a lot of messages very concerned about removing the Page and Print letters. Fear not. They will remain. I will just put them in the shelves. I've done a Billy bookcase kind of thing, and I'm going to do 2 sets of extenders, which will take me all the way to the ceiling. Really pumped about that. They'll look like built-ins, very fancy. So, yeah, that's kind of what's happening there. That's where I got my bubble letters, and that's the lore of that. That was a crispy 5 minutes of something you didn't ask for, so I hope you enjoyed it. Lovely. But I love those things. So thank you for noticing. Someone asks if I have read Zodiac Academy, and if I have, what are my thoughts on them? I have not read Zodiac Academy. There are a few reasons for this. First and foremost, I don't have time. I am a series reader. I really, really do prefer, so long as the series aren't currently being released, to read a series as a whole back to back to back. I feel like I'm a huge Easter egg person. I really, really love the interconnectedness of the series and getting to know and love the characters. So if I can help it, I'm going to read books 1 through 5, 1 through 4, whatever's out, back to back to back, to try to get the optimal understanding of the series. If you're unfamiliar, Zodiac Academy is a beast of a series, and it has spin-offs, and it has series within the series and all the things and the world. And I'm like, I fear with this job I have, I do not have time to dive into Zodiac Academy. If I do, it'll be on audio, and I do plan on eventually reading it. It's just not going to be this year. So, as many of you know, not to rehash this, but I have officially turned reading into my full-time job. And actually, a lot of people do ask me about this, so I feel less bad talking about it. But I have to read for work a lot. That looks like a few different things. I alpha and beta read for my clients, meaning I get an early copy of the book even before the arc stages and help them kind of work through the plot or any points that are like not sticking for me, or that felt out of character, or you just closed a cabinet but now you're laying in bed, how did you get from the kitchen, like that kind of thing. So I help clients with that, and that's a portion of my reading for work. Another portion of my reading for work is just going to be that standard arc reading. I've actually taken a significant step back from arc reading. I had a month earlier this year that ended with like 12 arcs, and that's just not going to cut it. I cannot sustain that. I've stepped back from arc reading, except for with my clients and a few select authors that are just like my Roman Empire authors. I will do an advanced listener copy though. or like an immersive situation, so long as I have the audio, I'm good. I just read so much faster with an audio, so that's the exception to that rule. Where was I going with this? Oh my gosh. Oh, reading for work. Okay. Sorry. So, arc reading a little bit. I do content polls, which is where you read the book and you highlight and pull out the types of quotes that would do well on social media or good for marketing the book. And you give those to the author or the marketing team for the author. I love doing those. I have a really specific, I personally think, unique way of doing content polls. So I've really enjoyed doing that. So I'm reading that. And then I do some paid promo on my page. I only do paid promo for books I rate 4 stars and above, books I would have talked about on my page anyway, but I do read those for paid promo. So there are a lot of reasons that I end up reading for work on top of just like staying up with the trends. Like Elsie Silver has released, I gotta read it. I gotta talk about it online. It's my job. I'm an investigative reporter. What can I say? Same thing with an Allie Hazelwood. I try to stay on top of that just to be sure I am able to talk about these things within the community that I am a part of. And that essentially employs me because at the end of the day, y'all are kind of my boss. If I'm making money from social media, y'all are my boss. So I got to be sure I'm ready and up to be able to talk about those things. With that being said, that monopolizes a lot of my time. So diving into a series like Zodiac Academy, where A, the books are just long, and B, it's such a extensive, profound series, I have not made the time to do that. I would like to. My best friend Torianne is reading it, Torianne Harris. She's posting about it actively, so if you want to follow someone who's reading it for the first time and actively posting about it, she's your girl. I am very excited to dive into it when I have capacity and time. It will be on audio. Just Zodiac Academy. I haven't read it. Those are my thoughts. My thoughts are I plan on reading it. I'm also afraid. It's a big, daunting series, but it should be fun. So y'all will be the first to know when I do read it. Small town series that aren't Elsie Silver or Catherine Cowles. I got you. I love both of those ladies. They're incredible, but I do have other recommendations. Everything Lena Hendricks writes is phenomenal. I am currently in the middle of, I have one book left in the Redemption Ranch series, and I'm obsessed. It is a Mafia Cowboy series. The first 2 books are guys from the Mafia and witness protection on a cattle ranch in Montana, so they've turned into cowboys, essentially. Mafia, cowboys. What more could you want? Romantic suspense. I'm having fun with it. Great series. She also has 2 interconnected series of rival families in a small town. It is called the Sullivan and Kings family series. They're great. She also has the first book out now of the Star Harbor series, which is going to follow all of the seasons, I believe, which is very, very fun. And it's a coastal ghost town. There's like a ghost that haunts the town, and that's kind of fun, just lore. So I really love that. The Astor Creek series by Molly Goins. For the most part, it's first responders. The last MNC is actually a baseball player, but it follows sisters whose dad is the police chief in this small town. The Bourbon Boys, Victoria Wilder. That's going to be romantic suspense set on a bourbon distillery in Kentucky. We have False Creek by Maggie Gates. More first responders. It is a police officer and a flight nurse, and then a firefighter and a teacher, and then a EMT, former military EMT. Maggie Gates also has the Griffith Brothers series, Cowboys. Cowboys done unlike anything you've ever read. We have Corinne Michaels. She is just a small town queen. I will narrow it down to a few of my favorites. The Ember Falls series by her follows a group of former professional athletes who are now in this small town and ended up not pursuing their professional careers for one way or another. And they're on a ultimate frisbee team together. So it's these pro athletes playing ultimate frisbee. That's not like the big lore of the story. It's just all of their love stories, but it is really funny. She also has the Rose Canyon series, which is an interconnected romantic suspense series. She also has the Arrowwood Brothers, high, heavy angst small town romance series following a group of brothers who were unfortunately treated very horribly by their father after the death of their mother, and they made this pact to one another that they wouldn't have a family or fall in love, and you guessed it, all of them break that pact. Very beautiful. Love it. What more small town romance series? Anything by Samantha Young, romantic suspense set in the Scottish Highlands. So we have the Highland series and the Adair family series. Love them. Skyridge Hot Shots, Hot Shot Firefighters. hopefully that gives you something to work with that aren't those ladies. Fingers crossed. Speaking of, I'm going to jump forward quite a few questions here. Someone asked for firefighter books that aren't Claire Kingsley or Molly Goins. I have not read anything by Claire Kingsley, but I absolutely need to. And then, as I just mentioned, Astor Creek is police officers. So that's Molly. Skyridge Hot Shots, like I just mentioned, are going to be Hot Shot Firefighters. Elsie Silver's most recent book is Wildcard. He is a firefighter pilot. We have All Too Well, the first book in the Ember Fall series. He is the fire chief. One Chance by Lena Hendricks and Just This Once by Lena Hendricks. So book 3 in the Sullivan and book 1 in the King's Family series. They are from rival families, but they are both firefighters, which was really, really fun. Love that. I know I've read more Firefighters. I have not read it yet, but Riding the High by Paisley Hope. No, he's a police officer. I think the next book is Firefighter, though. I think I saw fire on that cover. Am I making that up? Maybe, but I don't think so. More Firefighters. I know I've read more Firefighters, but those are the ones that come to mind at the moment. Hopefully that gives you a good head start. If I think of anything else, I will reach out to you. Okay, best books with the best banter. Not just a silly joke. I mean almost the whole book. Great question. Man, that's a hard one. Sloane St. James writes really great banter, specifically in the Lakes Hockey series. Sorry, I'm pulling these from the depths of my brain, and y'all know that. Depths of my brain. So that's really great banter. I felt like First Time Caller by B.K. Borison has good banter. I think Ali Hazelwood crushes it with banter. I just finished Mate. It's Bride Then Mate. It's that paranormal werewolf vampire. It's not an Omegaverse, but there are werewolves and vampires, and her banter is always just fantastic. Molly Goins writes phenomenal banter, specifically in the Boston Blue series, Picture Us and Coach Me. I think that those are really, really great. I'm looking around. Oh, I just read High Sticking the Heart by Marie M. And that banter was so, so good and so funny. I loved that book. Specifically, the audiobook was phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. Yeah, let's go with those right now for some good banter. I know that Emily Henry is notoriously known for great dialogue and banter, so if you haven't read anything by her, absolutely check that out. My only book I've read by Emily actually is Great Big Beautiful Life, which I will be rectifying because I'm going to Maine in May with Fiction Found Bookish Retreats, and it's kind of going to be an Emily Henry-esque retreat. One of our books is her book, so I'm going to be catching up on the Emily Henry train as soon as possible. Fear not, that's my plan. Man, really, really good bulletproof banter is hard to come by these days. It is. You're right. So those are my recommendations at this time. Hopefully that helps. Fingers crossed. One of my dear, dear friends, Kathleen, asked me what my death row book is, and I'm not exactly sure what that means. I'm assuming, like, my last book I would choose to read before my time. Is that what that is? That's what I'm going to interpret this as. What a question. Probably Rewind It Back. Probably. That book was utter perfection in my opinion. Rewind It Back and Secret Haven, Catherine Cowles. Those two books gave me the same vibes. They're both the last book in the series of a really, really strong found family element, which I think really boosted them. But also just the characters were saved for last for a reason. They were undeniable. They were written in the stars. They felt like fated mates in contemporary romance. So I just felt like both of those books gave me everything I wanted them to give and more. They blew my expectations out of the water. So I think at the moment, like with this year's reading, those are going to be the ones that I felt blew me away. And I, at this moment, would choose to read those. I hope I answered that right. I think I knew what that meant, but I also don't know if I knew what that meant. So, thoughts on Camera Shy or all of the Kay Cove books? I'm so glad you asked. I'm staring at my Kay Cove shelf right now. I love everything Kay does. I talk about it quite often on this podcast, but she just is so intelligent, and it's evident in the way that she writes her stories and her plots. They're extremely complex, and they require a level of you locking in and paying attention that I feel like other books don't require. And I mean that as a compliment. Like, she is just so intelligent, and she weaves these really, really crafty and intelligent plot lines. I would say it's just in her Paladin series, but that's not true, because all of her series are containing this, from Camera Shy, Snapshot, Selfie, Whistleblower, Tattletale, her Real Life Real Love series. Like, she is just really, really smart, and you have to pay attention, because if you miss one thing, you're going to miss why something's important to a character or why things are vital. So I think the flaw that some people have potentially going into a K-Cove book is that they're not ready to lock in, and you miss these things that make the story so special and important. So that's that. My thoughts on Camera Shy. I loved Camera Shy. I thought it was really unique story. It is about our FMC who ends up kind of running away from her town and her business because what she thought to be soon to be fiance breaks up with her. And so she kind of runs away to Vegas and is temporarily house sitting for one of her clients. And then the next door neighbor is a boudoir photographer, MMC. And he is from this billionaire family but isn't taking their money. So that's an interesting dynamic. And his boudoir business isn't taking off like he would like it to. So she offers to kind of help him with his business. And he offers to help her with her self-confidence because she is a little down on herself. She's a curvy FMC. She's a little down on herself, especially coming off the heels of this breakup. On her birthday, mind you. The lawnmowers are going outside of this house, and I'm really hoping you can't hear it. And if you can, I'm so sorry. So anyway, I just really like Camera Shy. It's complicated, it is angsty, it's messy, and the big reveal of what's actually going on is so insane and wild. I loved it. So those are my thoughts on K-Cove and Camera Shy. I love everything Kay does. She continues to blow me away. I'm a big fan. We know I'm a big fan of K-Cove. So love that. Thoughts on Throne of Glass. Let me see if y'all can hear this. I think we're fine. It's just, usually they do the lawn tomorrow, which is specifically why I was recording this episode today. And alas, here they are, mowing the lawns. Anyway, Throne of Glass is unlike any series. It is such a hero arc and a beautiful story arc. I think a lot of people feel as though it is a little verbose, a little too well hashed, if you will. Maybe there are 100 pages here or there that could have been cut, and I totally get that. I think it is perfect for what it is. I think it's a really special fantasy series. I'm not a huge fantasy reader, but I have read the entirety of the series, and I loved every second of it. I thought it was really, really beautiful, and Kingdom of Ash will forever hold a special place in my heart. After reading that whole series and getting to the end and just seeing how far they came, specifically from Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight, what you think you know and then what you ultimately end up finding out and the way the story unfolds is just unreal. So I love that series. My top ever MMC. Good gracious. What a question. So I have two tied up first, and it is Everett Ramos, Wicked and Wildflower, Sarah A. Bailey, and Rio DeLuca from Rewind It Back. I absolutely love them both. I'm always going to like the Pathetic But Make It Hot and or Golden Retriever who can also be in charge. That is always going to be my preference, my favorite. We've been over this. They remind me of my husband. I just love those guys. So those two are my favorites. Really similar MMCs that I have loved are going to be Jet from Despite It All, Molly Goins. I really, really love Lincoln Fox from Bourbon and Secrets. I really, really love Lee Sullivan from One Chance, Lena Hendricks. I really, really love the MMC from High Sticking the Heart. His name is escaping me at the moment. And then a new honorable mention is going to be Secret Haven. It's got to be Kai. Kai is different from those guys, but also the same, but different. He's in his own league, and I really love him too. But tied for first, favorite ever, are Everett and Rio. I love them both equally, and they hold a special place in my heart. So, those are my top MMCs. Someone asked for my fan casting of the two upcoming Elsie Silver adaptations. So here's the thing. Books are the literal only media I consume. I know. I'm sorry, but I don't watch much TV or movies, so I don't really have a great idea of who would play these best. I'd honestly be down for some nobodies. And by that, I just mean giving them their big break in these series. I think there's so much pressure on these characters, that if they could find someone that embodies them well, I say roll with someone new, roll with someone that they've never seen before. I think that would be the way to go, but you can't go wrong. I've only really been reading for 2 years, and this is my first time that I'm going to be watching book series that I read first, and it does make me a little nervous, but I am still very excited. So, I mean, that's happening with the Elle Kennedy series. I've only read The Deal, actually. I haven't read that whole series, so it's not really happening in full for me in that way. Again, I haven't read Emily Henry, so People We Meet on Vacation isn't really that shocking to me as well, like, because I haven't read it. I will read it before it comes out. Same with Love Theoretically. I will read it. Everyone, fear not. I will get caught up, I promise. But how I generally feel about the adaptations, I'm nervous. This is the first time this is happening, and I think it's going to be happening a lot more, seeing the success coming off of these series. So I'm nervous. I'm excited. I wish I had fan casts for you, but I don't. So I am banking on the underdogs here for that. Heck, cast me. In what? I don't know. But I have extensive acting experience. Fun fact. So heck, count me in. Oh, but we can try. A girl, shoot your shot. That's what they say. Okay. Next, what is my best advice for someone who wants to be a full-time book person? And then someone else said, advice that I have for someone looking to begin a career in my field. I have a few things. Where do I begin? One is going to be, you have to be relentless. You have to be resilient. So every single day, do something that pushes towards your end goal. You have to put one foot in front of the other every single day, even if it's one singular step. An object in motion stays in motion. You have to keep pushing, even when you feel like you see no growth, you're feeling like nothing you do is working. You have to do something every day. The only people who don't make it are the people who give up, but you have to get relentless. You have to accept that there's no other option but success and act like it. And it's so hard and it's exhausting, and there will be a lot of tears, and there will be a lot of just unbelievable hours clocked in a week, but knowing that you will get there is the way that you keep going. Because a year ago today, I was fighting for my life. I was starting to work 80-hour weeks. I was pouring my everything into this, and if I could go back and tell her a year from today, you made it. A year from today, you are working full-time in books. That would have made it all worth it. So just know there's a version of you in the future that has the job you want, that's doing exactly what you want, and the work that you're putting in today, by being relentless, by working your butt off, by honestly just outworking everyone. Because outworking people is not a learned skill. I guess drive and ambition and consistency, I suppose, are just natural abilities to an extent, but also you just have to work harder. If you want the thing that nobody has or that not many people have, you have to work hard. And so that would just be my recommendation. Be relentless, don't give up, and keep pushing. It's going to take some time, but you will get there. My other thing is about the comparison game. It's not helpful. Don't compare yourself to other people. I am just a big proponent of, do not let someone else's success get you down. Just because someone else has it doesn't mean that you can't. I try to look at people who are in positions that I would like to be in as proof that it's possible. And I utilize that initial pang of jealousy, because jealousy is inevitable. It's a feeling. But as hope having proof. if she can have it, so can I. We can both have this. There's room for everybody here. And just because she has something I want doesn't mean that I can't have it too. So instead of being, woe is me, or why is her grass so green and my grass isn't green, it's, oh my gosh, her grass is so green. I wonder what she's doing to make her grass so green. Is there something she's doing that I could do to fertilize my grass to make it greener? It's possible to have that green of grass. So what do I have to do to make my grass green? So that kind of goes into one of my favorite pieces of life advice is like, hating her won't make him love you more, which is like relationship advice for both the girlfriend and the ex-girlfriend. If the girlfriend hates the ex, it's not going to make him love you more. And if the ex hates the girlfriend, it's not going to make him love you more. But hating someone else is not going to make them love you more. It's just not. Them as in the general public. If you're trying to make a social media presence, if you're trying to be in author services, like, don't hate other people. Hating people is going to get you nowhere. Put your head down. Focus on yourself. If you're wanting to look at other people, use it as hope for the success that is to come for you, and keep moving. Outwork everybody. You can do it. I believe in you. It's all possible. Continue to post on social media, build a network, build friendships, build community. Your social media is your best business card. So act the way that you want people to see you and ultimately hire you. I like to think that, again, my best business card is going to be Page in Print. So if I'm organized, if I'm timely, if I do what I say I'm going to do, if I keep it classy, those are the things that people are looking for and will ultimately want to work with you over. So hopefully that helps. Fingers crossed. Yeah. My favorite Devaney Perry book, Switching Gears. So glad you asked. I forever and ever and ever have been a Sable Peak person. Sable Peak's a Roman Empire for me. However, you do need to read Crimson River before Sable Peak to understand the entirety of why that means so much to me. However, Shield of Sparrows is a top read for me. I loved everything about that book. Again, I know that book's slightly controversial, I suppose. Maybe, but I loved that book. So Shield of Sparrows from a fantasy perspective, Sable Peak from just a contemporary perspective, and I am highly anticipating her next release in December. I believe it's called Bluebird Gold. Romantic suspense again from Devaney, which I am over the moon excited about. So, and that cover is drop dead gorgeous. So very, very, very excited for that as well. It's probably one of my more anticipated reads going into the end of the year, so that's my Devaney Perry lore. I have not read all of her books. I think I've read 28 of her books, so I still have a few series left to get through, but I have read Clifton Forge, Calamity Montana, I've read The Edens, I have read Crossroads and Sunlight, Shield of Sparrows. I'm missing some, but I've read a lot of Devaney, but I need to just get caught up on her backlist. It's a to-do for me. Okay, more romantic suspense recs. I've read almost all on your recent video. Girl, I fear you're caught up to me because I gave you all I had. That was like 55 books in that video. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I did my ultimate guide to romantic suspense. I really love Destined by Kay Knightley. If you haven't read that one, it's the first in a series and the second is coming. So highly recommend diving into that one. If you haven't from that list, that was one of the standalones. Rose Canyon by Corinne Michaels, phenomenal. His Greatest Muse, Hannah Cowan, a little rock star, and she's a boxer. So really enjoy that. Paladin's everything to me, Whistleblower and Tattletale. I feel like if you've read a lot of those, then you have read the Catherine Cowles backlog, Samantha Young backlog, maybe try Tilly H. Colson. It is in third person. You're going to be fine. Can I have a hot take for a second? It's my podcast. Everyone is welcome to their preferences. I just want to start there. But a lot of people, when I talk about Tilly, they're like, just so you know, it's in third person. Girl, I promise you can do it. I promise. It is in third person, but it is dual POV. So it's just some pronoun changes. It is still dual POV. You're still getting the usual perspectives from the MMC and FMC. It is not like an omniscient narrator. It is just a pronoun shift. So push through, get like 5 chapters in, and if you really can't do it, that's fine. But I promise you will get used to the change in pronouns. It's all going to be okay. Love you. I mean that with peace and love. And you're welcome to your preference, but I just encourage you, just because you saw it's third person, not to tune out of that, because people in my comments, y'all, some comments just really kill me. I won't go into that because I try to keep things positive, but there's like a group of comments. I have like a list that I'm like, please don't comment this on my page. Please don't do it. So yeah. Okay, so another romantic suspense recommendation. It's not out yet, but there's a book called Mountain Time by India and Trevor Rice, and I actually interviewed it on the last podcast. Love them. But they have mentioned that their next book is going to be romantic suspense, but you're going to want to read the first book because you get insight into who the main characters are, and it's one of the most unique character matchups I've ever read. So to prep for that, I would read Mountain Time. The Falls Creek series by Maggie Gates. What Hurts Us, Heals Us, Saves Us. What Saves Us specifically is romantic suspense, but I do think that there are suspense elements in all of those, so check those out. Yeah, hopefully that helps. But you're just about caught up to me because that's all I got. That's all I have for you. I'm so sorry. I will keep reading. Trust and Believe. Oh, I am about to read Half-Light Harbor, Samantha Young's new romantic suspense. It comes out next week, so check that one out too, but hopefully that helps. Love that. Have I read any of Willow Astor's books? They've Consumed You. I love that for you. I have not read anything by her yet, but I absolutely am planning to. Willow Astor and Harlow James are two that I really, really, really need to dive into. I read the first book in Harlow James series, I believe, and I really, really would like to get into their stuff. They're just quintessential small town girlies, and I'm a quintessential small town girly, so I think that must be done. I have those really cool, if you see in my videos, records. They are audiobook shelf trophies from Harlow James, which are really cool, so really, really pumped to dive into that further. But yeah, I need to read Willow. I'm sorry that I haven't, but I will as soon as I have capacity. Okay. Of all the arcs I've read, which am I most excited to see released or is my favorite? I will never get over getting to read books early. It is such an honor and a privilege, and I will never be the same. It's just the coolest thing ever. This is the coolest job ever, so preface with that. The first arc I ever received was Skies Over Caledonia by Samantha Young. It is a marriage and convenience romantic suspense set in the Scottish Highlands. He is a farmer. She is a socialite. She married him for a visa. Really fascinating. And I really, really loved that book. So that was my first arc, so it'll always be special to me. Some of my other like really, really special arcs, Shield of Sparrows, Stephanie Perry. I've gotten some physical trope arcs from Catherine Cowles, which has just been incredible. Specifically, Secret Haven, as I've mentioned like 90 million times in this episode, phenomenal. Really, all my favorite authors, getting to read their stuff as arcs is just unreal. My first physical galley from Penguin Random House was Riding the High by Paisley Hope, and that's sitting proud on my shelf, just really, really special. A lot of these physical arcs are just really, really like prized possessions to me. I think that they're really, really special, but in terms of arc rating, I'm really pumped for you guys to get to read Secret Haven. I'm really, really excited for you all to read Half-Light Harbor. Silver Shadows by Tilly H. Coulson is just unreal. It's book 4 in her Silver Spring series. Love that. But yeah, those are a few. I've gotten to arc read Wild Side by Elsie Silver, which was unreal. So, I mean, just really, really cool stuff from a few of my favorite authors. Thank you for asking, though, because, yeah, this is just the dream job and the coolest thing ever. Even though I've taken a step back from arc reading, it's really, really special. So, okay, that's all the questions I have for today. Thank you guys so much for participating and giving me stuff to talk about. Again, these are just my favorite episodes because I know for sure I'm answering stuff that y'all want to hear. But I will see you probably again in the new year with a Q&A episode. I don't know. I might do one in December. But mainly asking for December, are you all interested in a Page and Print Awards series? Should we do it on the podcast? Do I do a few different like categories each episode for 4 weeks? Like, what are we thinking? What's the thought? Are y'all in? Want to hear about my best of the best reads? Let me know. I will start prepping for that. But for now, I'm going to wrap up this episode. Really, really happy to be back in the studio, back to recording normal episodes. I think the next episode is going to be my childhood best friend, who is just amazing. She's been begging me to read for over a decade, and I finally did, and now we have so much to talk about, which is so fun. So that episode's really special and kind of gives you an insight into my personal life, too, so be sure to check that out. And I think that's all I have for you, so thank you as always for spending your time with me, and I will see you in the next one.